Hello, I am Vibhuti Chandna and I am presenting the research paper Belief and Evidence in Empirical Software Engineering by Prem Devanbu, Thomas Zimmerman, and Christian Bird. Here is some information on the authors. Prem Devanbu is a professor at University of California, Davis. His research interests include empirical software engineering, software metrics, reverse engineering, and software security. He has an H index of 60. Thomas Zimmerman and Christian Bird are researchers at Microsoft Research in Washington. Thomas Zimmerman is also an adjunct assistant professor at the University of Calgary. He has an H index of 63. Christian Bird has an H index of 39, and both of them work in human-computer interaction, programming languages, and software engineering research areas. This paper was presented at IEEE and ACM 38th International Conference on Software Engineering in May 2016, and this paper has been cited for 101 times. Now, the authors try to address this research question. What do programmers believe and how do these beliefs relate to the actual empirical evidence? The motivation behind writing this paper and presenting this case study is that prior work in this area of beliefs and evidence has been primarily qualitative in nature. This study shows quantitatively that practitioner beliefs can be inconsistent with project evidence. All the prior work done has been to explore work habits, motivation, and epistemic attitudes of developers, or there have been surveys conducted to get their views on the relevance of various research results from software engineering. And this study was the first one to compare the developers' opinion on claims from empirical software engineering with statistical analysis of their project data. Two competing statistical inference methods are available to sort of integrate prior beliefs and relevant data. First, frequentist method, which suggests that the probability of correctness of a theory should be indirectly but exclusively inferred from the frequency with which the consequences of the theory are observed in experiments. This view is empirical and entirely grounded on observation and data, leaving no room for prior belief. Second method is the Bayesian, which asserts that the probability in statistics should reflect a state of subjective belief. So the experimental data is combined with prior belief to yield an updated posterior belief. In other words, given two experimental results with same p-value, the one that is more in harmony with the preconceptions will be more convincing. Critiques and alternative perspectives on frequentist p-values have a strong impact in the field of medicine, but these have not yet made a strong impact in empirical software engineering. Some researchers have argued that frequentist p-values are only one component of a rational approach to scientific knowledge, and p-values have inherent variation due to sampling errors, whereas in Bayesian experimental design, one decides ahead of time a desired level of utility to be gained from an experiment on the basis of their prior beliefs. Ultimately, for society to reap maximum benefit, scientific evidence must translate into practitioner beliefs. Practitioners should also be made more aware of the latest empirical findings. Researchers in empirical software engineering have started producing evidence-based findings regarding the factors affecting cost, quality, and interval in software development. However, like in medicine, software developers are skilled, trained, and can be expected to practice their craft based on a set of beliefs. These beliefs and opinions may be based on actual experience or may be held for ideological reasons. And the authors believe that such opinions and answers to how, what, why of those beliefs will play a vital role in determining the impact of the findings of empirical software engineering on the actual practice. Thus, the authors present a quantitative approach and conduct a survey in order to complement prior work in this area. The core of the survey started with a series of empirically falsifiable claims based on some criteria, like the consequences of the claim being true or false from software practice. Target population of about 2,500 developers at Microsoft have informed opinions on the claims, etc. The developers were asked to respond on a 5-point Likert scale. Additional information including demographics, employment status, work location, etc. was also collected. The following table shows the average score and standard deviation for all the claims in the survey. The higher the average, the more the agreement with the claim. The higher the variance, the more the disagreement within respondents as to the claim. The claims in the table are listed in decreasing order of variance, which means the order is going from most controversial claim to the least one. Overall, people disagreed the most on the claim concerned with the riskiness of fixing defects, and the claim that people were in most agreement was concerned with the benefits of code reviews. The survey included developer statements on how they formed their opinion on different claims. The developers were asked to rank the possible factors in their opinion formation. They were given a choice of personal experience, peer opinion, mentors or managers' opinion, journals, research papers, and others. This collection of ranks was plotted with the higher plot values corresponding to higher ranks. As we can see in this figure, the highest ranked factor is personal experience, and the lower rankings were of research papers and others. These results are consistent with the earlier work in social science, which reflects that stronger social ties are more influential in opinion formation. While this type of opinion is acceptable in ordinary society, it is hardly any way for professionals to form opinions. Personal experience is highly isolated and does not provide a broad sample of experience. One of the top three most controversial statements that geographically distributed teams produce code whose quality, that is defect occurrence, is just as good as teams that are not geographically distributed was chosen to examine in more detail. Beliefs of programmers were compared with the evidence from actual project data drawn from two large projects, Project A and Project B. Project A members tended to be the ones who largely disagreed with the statement, while members of the Project B tended to largely agree with the statement. The statistically significant differences that emerged in the survey is presumed to be based on intrinsic observable differences in the two projects. Maybe the Project A had encountered more quality difficulties in distributed development, but Project B had none. The authors gathered data on commit activities on a per file basis. Primary response variable was the number of defect repairs to the file. And since the goal was to attempt to isolate and measure the effect of geographic distribution, it was important to control for known confounds that might affect the response variable's outcome. So, four different control measures, namely mean size, churn, TODC, and OTOP, were chosen along with four binary indicators of localization level of files. This table shows the level of distributed development activity in both the projects using the binary indicator variables. And from this table, we can see that these projects are both reasonable settings to study the quality effects of distributed development. Further, the analysis used linear regression models, which are shown here. From these models, it can be inferred that all controls are significant and the effects are in the expected directions. The defects increase significantly with the size of files, churn, and total number of developers committing to a file, while they decrease with the ownership level. Next, the indicator variables were added for each distribution level, resulting in 8 different models, each consisting of the 4 control variables and 1 indicator variable. The results shown in the Model 1, in conjunction with the responses to the survey, suggest that developers form opinions based on personal experience, which soldier their biases and misconceptions. And the impact of evidence on software engineering practice has quite some ground to cover. So, as we can see that some claims made in the study attracted more agreement and dissension than others. The level of agreement also didn't always correspond well with the strength of evidence in regards to claim. The findings also illustrated that programmers might face risks by relying too much on their personal experience. Thus, it can be inferred that greater efforts should be made to set up systematic ways to collect, organize, and disseminate research findings to the practitioners. Along with this, it is highly recommended that practitioner beliefs should also be given due attention, especially in the areas where research results are few and preliminary. Something I liked about this paper is that the authors present the case study in a very detailed manner. They even quoted the statement responses from respondents in order to give an in-depth insight into the survey. But there is one thing that is stuck in my mind, which is that the respondents in the survey to a great extent represent only male North American software engineering culture, which even authors also realized, but still I think it might not be able to give the overall broader picture of the entire population of developers.